Hello, my name is Steve Arnold. I'm a family physician and I work in Kankaksualujuak in northern Quebec. I'd like to continue my series on vaccination, and today I'd like to talk about potential side effects related to the Moderna vaccine. In particular, I'd like to address what seems to be a common concern about the long-term effect on our immune system. Part of the process of obtaining informed consent is giving information about risk. But without context or comparison, risks may appear greater than they really are. So before I talk about side effects, I'd like to describe how common viral infections interact with our body and our immune system. When somebody with a viral illness, be it a cold, a flu, or COVID, sneezes, they release into the air a cloud of droplets that are teeming with viral particles. If a susceptible individual is nearby and breathes in these droplets, the virus particles would be able to attach themselves to the cells of the nose and the pharynx and be drawn into the cells and multiply. Within a few days, what may have been hundreds or thousands of virus particles will now be hundreds of millions of viral particles. And at this stage, the infected individual is contagious but may be asymptomatic. Next, the virus begins to spread throughout the body. And typically they will invade virtually all of our organs and tissues. And what that means is they invade the cells of our brain, our lungs, our heart, our stomach, our liver, our kidneys, our bones, our muscles. And in all of these tissues, the story is the same. They attach to the surface of the cells, are drawn into the cells, and they turn our cells into viral factories. When replication is complete, our cells break open and new viral particles are released. So what that means is that our blood cells are infected and break open, our bone cells are infected and break open, our brain cells are infected and break open, our lung cells, our heart cells, our muscle cells. All of these tissues are infected, and when the replication process is complete, they are lysed to release new viral particles. What this means is that after a week or so of infection, not only are there hundreds of millions of viral particles floating about our body, but all of the debris of our various tissues that have been lysed in the replication process. At this stage, the infected individual is sick, and unfortunately, it is only about now that the immune system is ramped up and in full attack mode. But the task it now faces is extraordinarily complex. It must now sort through the almost infinite number of bits and pieces of virus particles versus the bits and pieces of our own tissues, attack what is foreign but leave what is self alone. Not surprisingly, errors are made, and occasionally our immune system begins to recognize our own antigens as foreign and begin attacking our own tissues. This is a process known as autoimmunity, and in medicine we are discovering more and more conditions that originate in this fashion. To give you just one example, many of you may have already heard of rheumatic fever. Rheumatic fever is a condition that affects millions of people worldwide and is the cause of approximately 300,000 deaths per year. The condition begins as a simple strep throat, and in the process of clearing the organism, our immune system develops antibodies to the M protein on the surface of the strep. Unfortunately, the M protein is similar in structure to proteins that appear on the surface of our heart valves. And in some individuals, the antibodies that are meant to help clear infection begin to attach to and destroy their heart valves. Over time, heart valves may be destroyed and may need to be replaced through open heart surgery or can lead to death. So my point is this. Nature is not perfect, and even after benign illnesses like colds and flus, our immune system can make mistakes that can lead to significant illness. Now let's turn our attention to the Moderna mRNA vaccination. Each vaccination particle consists of multiple strands of mRNA contained within a capsule of fat. Millions of mRNA molecules occur naturally within our cells, and they function as messengers from the nucleus or the brain of our cells to the cytoplasm or the body of our cells. As you recall, the way the vaccination works is by inducing a small number of our own cells to produce COVID-19 spike proteins, release those proteins into our bloodstream, and allow our immune system to recognize them and produce antibodies against them. When somebody receives a vaccination, the vaccine particles are taken up in the muscle cells around the vaccination site. Upon entry into the cells, the fat capsule is dispersed, and the ribosomes in those cells attach themselves to the mRNA strands, read them, and produce spike proteins. The mRNA strands are then destroyed, and the spike proteins released into the bloodstream. The spike proteins then circulate through the blood for a few days, long enough for our immune system to recognize them and to start producing antibodies against them. During this time, no cells are infected or destroyed, and by the time the spike proteins are cleared from our body, all that is left of the original vaccination is the memory of what the spike proteins look like. Now let's look at natural viral infection and mRNA vaccination side by side. In natural viral infection, be it with the virus that causes a cold, the flu, or COVID-19, the virus has the opportunity to multiply into hundreds of millions of copies. In the process, it infects most of the tissues of our body, and it destroys millions of our own cells. By comparison, at the time of a mRNA vaccination, a few muscle cells are damaged at the site of the injection site, but no virus particles multiply, no cells are infected, and no cells are destroyed. If the individual who has been vaccinated is later exposed to the COVID-19 virus, the virus will not be able to attach to our cells, multiply, infect any of our cells, or destroy any of our cells. During natural viral infection, our immune system has to sort through hundreds of millions of pieces of viral particles and hundreds of millions of pieces of our own lysed cells and determine which are self and which are foreign. The process is extremely complex, and the opportunities for error are many. By comparison, following the injection of an mRNA vaccine, the immune system is presented with a single new foreign antigen. The task of differentiating this new antigen from self is a simple process, and the opportunity for error, although not zero, is a tiny fraction of that occurs during natural viral infection. So to answer the question, can vaccination lead to unforeseen immunologic disorders? The answer is yes, but the risk is a small fraction of that after a simple cold or flu. I've run out of time, but I hope this helps clarify a common concern regarding vaccination. And I hope that this will help at least some of you make the important decision to become vaccinated. Thank you for listening.